Adrian's name was known far and wide, a symbol of success in the vibrant markets of his city. As a prosperous merchant, he traded in goods from every corner of the known world: silks from the east, spices from the south, and precious gems that dazzled the eye. His life was one of luxury and influence, built on years of shrewd dealings and relentless ambition. But fate, as the Stoics often remind us, is beyond our control. In a single day, pay attention to this Stoic story set in a place full of rocky mountains. One day, a young man enveloped in fury was about to commit a reckless act against his own life, ready to jump from a hill. At the top of the hill, a monk immersed in deep meditation was awakened by the loud and angry voice of the young man. He immediately understood that the young man had come to this place to perform an extreme act against himself. If you are new here, please like the video and subscribe. Statistics show that only 15% of my audience is subscribed to the channel, so if this content has helped you in any way, I ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let's start this transformative journey together. The monk, with a serenity reflecting years of practice and Stoic wisdom, approached the young man. When the young man was about to jump off the hill, the monk firmly took his hand, pulling him back, and calmly asked, "What happened? Why have you come to this decision? Has the road ahead come to an end?" The young man, with tears in his eyes and an expression of despair, replied, "There is no path here. I am going to jump from the top of this mountain. Life no longer makes sense to me." The serene Stoic monk, with a compassionate look, commented, "Everyone must face death at some point, but why such hurry? Death will come in due time, but living means facing each moment with courage, even in suffering." The young man poured out his heart, his voice trembling as he said, "Because it is not worth living in this world. Everyone is selfish and treacherous. My own brother betrayed me, my friends betrayed me, and today my wife also betrayed me, running away with a rich man. After so many betrayals, life lost its meaning. No one is trustworthy in a selfish world, and that's why I decided to end my life." The Stoic monk, looking the young man in the eyes, asked, "Aren't you also selfish? Can you be trusted?" The young man reflected, whispering, "I haven't cheated anyone so far. I haven't betrayed anyone. If you want, you can go to my village and ask everyone. In fact, many times people even take advantage of me." The monk nodded and said, "You have lived honorably, but despair blinds you. Stoicism teaches us to accept what we cannot change and find peace in it." Marcus Aurelius, a great emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote that, "Life is what our thoughts make of it. If you cling to resentment and hopelessness, they will consume you. But if you choose to see each difficulty as an opportunity to grow, you will find strength within yourself." The young man looked at the monk, his confusion slowly giving way to a timid curiosity. "But how can I accept so much pain and betrayal?" The monk smiled gently and replied, "It's not easy, but you are not alone in your struggle. Every human being faces their own internal battle." Seneca, another wise Stoic, said that adversity introduces a man to himself. Use this pain to deepen your understanding of yourself and the world. Accept what has happened, but do not let it define your future. Resilience and virtue can be your guide. For the first time in a long while, the young man felt a spark of hope. Although the wounds of betrayal were still open, the idea of finding strength within himself and living with virtue offered a new perspective. He decided to come down from the hill with the monk, willing to learn more about Stoicism and face his life with a new attitude of acceptance and strength. The monk looked at him with a penetrating gaze and responded, "I cannot trust you just like that. You must prove that you are not a selfish person." Intrigued, the young man asked, "What must I do to prove my sincerity?" The monk proposed, Stay with me in my temple for the next 12 months. Only then will I know if you are truly honest or if you are selfish and deceitful like the others." Accepting the challenge, the young man committed to staying in the monk's temple. Thus, the monk took him to his residence and made him his disciple. The next morning, the monk called the new disciple and said, "I still do not trust you, but you must go begging. This is part of my teaching for you and your brothers." The young man, inexperienced in the art of begging, faced great difficulties. His mouth resisted forming words, and his ego resisted humility. However, driven by the need to prove his master wrong, he persevered and returned with alms. Seeing the offering in his hands, the master acknowledged, "You are at least somewhat trustworthy. I thought you wouldn't be able to beg, but you proved me wrong. Come with me to my retreat because I want to show you something." Together they went to the retreat where the master pointed to a suspended jar. "Do you see this pot? It contains poison. If administered to someone, that person can die without a trace. I only warn you never to consume it." Pay attention to this Stoic story set in a place full of rocky mountains. One day, a young man enveloped in fury was about to commit a reckless act against his own life, ready to jump from a hill. At the top of the hill, a monk immersed in deep meditation was awakened by the loud and angry voice of the young man. He immediately understood that the young man had come to this place to perform an extreme act against himself. If you are new here, please like the video and subscribe. Statistics show that only 15% of my audience is subscribed to the channel, so if this content has helped you in any way, I ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let's start this transformative journey together. The monk, with a serenity reflecting years of practice and Stoic wisdom, approached the young man. When the young man was about to jump off the hill, the monk firmly took his hand, pulling him back, and calmly asked, "What happened? Why have you come to this decision? Has the road ahead come to an end?" The young man, with tears in his eyes and an expression of despair, replied, "There is no path here. I am going to jump from the top of this mountain. Life no longer makes sense to me." The serene Stoic monk, with a compassionate look, commented, "Everyone must face death at some point, but why such hurry? Death will come in due time, but living means facing each moment with courage, even in suffering." The young man poured out his heart, his voice trembling as he said, "Because it is not worth living in this world. Everyone is selfish and treacherous. My own brother betrayed me, my friends betrayed me, and today my wife also betrayed me, running away with a rich man. After so many betrayals, life lost its meaning. No one is trustworthy in a selfish world, and that's why I decided to end my life." The Stoic monk, looking the young man in the eyes, asked, "Aren't you also selfish? Can you be trusted?" The young man reflected, whispering, "I haven't cheated anyone so far. I haven't betrayed anyone. If you want, you can go to my village and ask everyone. In fact, many times people even take advantage of me." The monk nodded and said, "You have lived honorably, but despair blinds you. Stoicism teaches us to accept what we cannot change and find peace in it." Marcus Aurelius, a great emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote that, "Life is what our thoughts make of it. If you cling to resentment and hopelessness, they will consume you. But if you choose to see each difficulty as an opportunity to grow, you will find strength within yourself." The young man looked at the monk, his confusion slowly giving way to a timid curiosity. "But how can I accept so much pain and betrayal?" The monk smiled gently and replied, "It's not easy, but you are not alone in your struggle. Every human being faces their own internal battle." Seneca, another wise Stoic, said that adversity introduces a man to himself. Use this pain to deepen your understanding of yourself and the world. Accept what has happened, but do not let it define your future. Resilience and virtue can be your guide. For the first time in a long while, the young man felt a spark of hope. Although the wounds of betrayal were still open, the idea of finding strength within himself and living with virtue offered a new perspective. He decided to come down from the hill with the monk, willing to learn more about Stoicism and face his life with a new attitude of acceptance and strength. The monk looked at him with a penetrating gaze and responded, "I cannot trust you just like that. You must prove that you are not a selfish person." Intrigued, the young man asked, "What must I do to prove my sincerity?" The monk proposed, "Stay with me in my temple for the next 12 months. Only then will I know if you are truly honest or if you are selfish and deceitful like the others." Accepting the challenge, the young man committed to staying in the monk's temple. Thus, the monk took him to his residence and made him his disciple. The next morning, the monk called the new disciple and said, "I still do not trust you, but you must go begging. This is part of my teaching for you and your brothers." The young man, inexperienced in the art of begging, faced great difficulties. His mouth resisted forming words, and his ego resisted humility. However, driven by the need to prove his master wrong, he persevered and returned with alms. Seeing the offering in his hands, the master acknowledged, "You are at least somewhat trustworthy. I thought you wouldn't be able to beg, but you proved me wrong. Come with me to my retreat because I want to show you something." Together they went to the retreat where the master pointed to a suspended jar. "Do you see this pot? It contains poison. If administered to someone, that person can die without a trace. I only warn you never to consume it. This lack of care and attention will manifest repeatedly, but we often ignore it, too enchanted to see the truth before our eyes." In the framework of Stoicism, the lack of reciprocity and indifference within a relationship reveals a discordance with fundamental virtues such as wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. The Stoics instruct us to confront and accept reality without letting our hopes or illusions deceive us. Epictetus, one of the prominent Stoic philosophers, urges us to see things as they really are and not as we wish they were. From this philosophical perspective, the lack of reciprocity in a relationship is a clear sign of moral and emotional imbalance. Stoic wisdom teaches us to discern between true actions and mere words, emphasizing the importance of integrity and authenticity in all our interactions. Justice for the Stoics is not limited to fairness, but also encompasses the fair and respectful treatment of others in all aspects of life. Temperance, another central pillar of Stoicism, guides us toward an emotional and mental balance that allows us to face the difficult realities of human relationships with serenity and composure. Instead of clinging to unrealistic expectations or emotional manipulations, temperance helps us remain firm in our convictions and respond calmly to adversities. Stoic courage drives us to act with moral bravery, even when facing the possibility of disappointment or rejection in our personal relationships. It teaches us to confront uncomfortable truths with dignity and not let fear or uncertainty dictate our decisions. Epictetus reminds us that we must see things as they really are and not as we wish they were. A person who does not care for us demonstrates a lack of empathy and commitment, essential qualities in any relationship based on mutual love and respect. This behavior is a sign that this person does not value the relationship as much as we do, and continuing to ignore these signs will only prolong our suffering. Stoicism teaches us to be rational and not let our emotions blind us to the truth. Besides promoting the idea of emotional self-sufficiency, the Stoics emphasize the importance of self-sufficiency in all aspects of life, including our emotions. They teach us that we must have the ability to find our happiness and inner peace without excessively depending on others. This implies cultivating an inner strength that allows us to remain balanced and serene, even in the face of external fluctuations. When a person shows neither care nor genuine interest in our well-being, Stoic principles guide us to recognize this situation with clarity and objectivity. Having the wisdom and courage to face this reality is crucial for preserving our emotional integrity and self-esteem. Instead of clinging to relationships that do not nourish or value us, Stoicism urges us to make conscious decisions aligned with our values and deepest principles. Additionally, the Stoics remind us that true self-sufficiency does not imply isolation or indifference toward others, but a capacity to relate from a position of internal strength and authenticity. Cultivating relationships based on reciprocity and mutual respect becomes a crucial aspect of living a full and virtuous life according to the Stoic perspective. Ignoring the signs of an unbalanced relationship and maintaining the illusion that the other person will change only leads us inevitably to disappointment and hopelessness. Seneca, one of the prominent Stoic philosophers, offers wise advice by stating that the most important part of life is knowing what to ignore. In this context, this implies discerning clearly and objectively the evident signs of lack of love and care in a relationship. Stoicism teaches us not to close our eyes to reality, but to confront it with bravery and wisdom. Recognizing these signs gives us the opportunity to make informed decisions aligned with our values and emotional well-being. This involves cultivating the inner strength to establish healthy boundaries and seek relationships that nurture and allow us to grow as individuals. By adopting Seneca's teaching on what to ignore, we empower ourselves not to invest emotional energy in situations that do not benefit or help us grow. Instead of clinging to unrealistic expectations or hoping for an unlikely change, Stoicism encourages us to focus on what we can control, our responses and decisions in the face of the circumstances we encounter. In summary, the first revealing sign of a deceitful or unloving person is their inability to show care toward us, regardless of how much we care for them. This lack of reciprocity manifests repeatedly, but we often tend to overlook these signs due to superficial charm or the hope that things will improve. Stoicism provides us with an invaluable perspective in this regard. It teaches us to observe reality with clarity and objectivity, without allowing our emotions to cloud our judgment. Stoic philosophy encourages us to act with wisdom and courage, ensuring we live in accordance with our fundamental virtues. The wisdom to discern what is true and what is illusory, the justice to set boundaries and seek equitable relationships, the temperance to maintain calm in the face of emotional adversities, and the courage to face the truth and act accordingly. By adopting these Stoic principles, we not only preserve our inner peace and emotional well-being, but also cultivate more authentic and fulfilling relationships. It enables us to recognize when a relationship does not meet our expectations of reciprocity and genuine care, allowing us to make informed decisions aligned with our personal growth and lasting happiness. Ultimately, living according to Stoic principles means committing to a life of integrity and authenticity, where our actions reflect our ability to discern between true and false, and where our relationships are based on mutual respect and honesty. This leads us to build a path toward personal fulfillment and inner tranquility, away from illusions that only lead to suffering and disillusionment. The second sign of a deceitful and lying person is that they hide crucial information. You will discover things about them through third parties, even after spending a lot of time together. When confronted, they will say they simply forgot to mention it. A true person shares their life like an open book, without hiding anything, while a trickster acts in secret. This trait is especially dangerous because it undermines trust, which is the foundation of all human relationships. In the context of Stoicism, transparency and honesty emerge as fundamental virtues guiding our interactions and relationships. The Stoics teach us that living according to nature implies being authentic and sincere at all times. A true Stoic strives to act with integrity, understanding that trust is built on a foundation of openness and truth. Transparency not only strengthens interpersonal bonds, but also reinforces the moral character of the individual. The Stoics recognize that lack of transparency and lying corrupt the liar's soul, distancing them from virtue and wisdom, which are pillars of an ethical and well-lived life. From this philosophical perspective, cultivating transparency and honesty not only promotes more authentic and deep relationships, but also contributes to personal development and emotional well-being. By being transparent, we free ourselves from the tensions and worries that arise from keeping secrets or distorting the truth. This allows us to live in harmony with our highest principles and values, establishing a path toward a fuller and more meaningful life. The concealment of information by a deceitful person not only creates an atmosphere of distrust and suspicion, but can also plunge the victim into a constant state of anxiety and stress. The continuous feeling of wondering what else might be hidden undermines inner peace and tranquility, central values in Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, revered for his Stoic wisdom, warned that the soul is dyed by the color of its thoughts. In this sense, transparency and truth act as agents that color the soul with clarity and purity, while lies and deceit deeply stain and disturb it. From a Stoic perspective, the pursuit of inner tranquility involves cultivating an environment of honesty and sincerity in our interactions. This not only strengthens relationships based on mutual trust, but also fortifies our moral character. The practice of transparency frees us from the emotional burden of distrust and allows us to live in harmony with our highest ethical principles. Additionally, recognizing and confronting the concealment of information empowers us to make informed and value-aligned decisions. It enables us to establish healthy boundaries and seek relationships that are authentic and enriching. Ultimately, adopting these Stoic principles guides us toward a more integral and serene life, where our actions reflect our constant pursuit of truth and honesty, both towards ourselves and others. We must pay close attention to the people we interact with and to whom we entrust our lives, especially when making a pact of love and trust. Life is too short and valuable to be wasted in relationships based on deception. A pact of love and trust requires a mutual commitment to honesty and openness. This is crucial not only for the well-being of the relationship, but also for the personal well-being of both individuals involved. Stoicism, with its focus on wisdom and inner serenity, instructs us on the importance of caution and discernment in our human interactions. Seneca, one of the eminent Stoic philosophers, emphasizes the need to be prudent and careful when establishing bonds of trust. The third sign reveals that an unfaithful person is also a great liar. Their words do not align with their actions. They do not keep their promises, and we find ourselves trapped in a labyrinth of deceit and falsehoods. Often their apologies are empty and their explanations lack coherence, leaving us confused and constantly questioning the truth of what they tell us. In the context of Stoicism, lack of transparency and coherence is perceived as a serious lack of integrity, values that Stoics consider essential for achieving a virtuous and fulfilling life. Marcus Aurelius, known for his Stoic philosophy and as one of the great emperors of Rome, emphasized the importance of acting in a manner consistent with our words and principles. For the Stoics, Honesty and sincerity are cornerstones for developing authentic, healthy, and lasting relationships. Living with integrity means not only maintaining consistency between our words and actions, but also being transparent and honest in all our interactions. This virtue not only strengthens mutual trust, but also contributes to emotional well-being and interpersonal harmony. From a Stoic perspective, cultivating relationships based on sincerity and truth allows us to grow in virtue and wisdom, promoting an environment of mutual respect and appreciation for the dignity of each individual. Additionally, the Stoics teach us to be aware of our motivations and to always act ethically and justly, even when facing challenges or temptations to stray from the right path. This inner discipline not only strengthens our moral character, but also fosters a community based on shared ethical principles. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, urges us to be mindful of our actions and words, ensuring they are aligned with our deepest values. A person who does not keep their promises and frequently lies is in conflict with these Stoic principles, as they undermine mutual trust and emotional stability in a relationship. In addition to cultivating an attitude of acceptance and strength in the face of adversities, the Stoics instruct us in the art of handling complicated situations, like finding ourselves trapped in someone's lies. At such times, it is imperative to remain calm and clear-minded, to evaluate the situation with wisdom and discernment. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher known for his keen human analysis, advises us not to let our emotions dictate our actions and decisions, urging us to always seek the truth hidden behind superficial appearances. Stoic philosophy prepares us to face these challenges with a balanced and rational mindset. It teaches us not to succumb to anger or despair in the face of betrayal or dishonesty from others, but to remain firm in our principles and ethical values. This attitude of acceptance does not imply passive resignation, but rather an active ability to face reality with courage and determination, always seeking the truth and acting accordingly. Furthermore, the Stoic focus on virtue and wisdom guides us towards seeking constructive and just solutions rather than falling into resentment or revenge. This perspective allows us to cultivate relationships based on genuine trust and reciprocity, thus promoting an environment of mutual respect and shared personal growth. When we face the painful situation of dealing with an unfaithful and lying person, Stoicism emerges as an invaluable guide. This philosophy urges us to direct our attention towards what we can effectively control, our own actions and reactions to adverse circumstances. Instead of being consumed by anger or emotional pain, the Stoic approach equips us to make informed and ethical decisions on how to handle the situation, always prioritizing the preservation of our integrity and emotional well-being. In the words of Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, we are constantly reminded that wisdom lies in accepting what is beyond our control and acting diligently and prudently in what we can influence. In the specific case of confronting the dishonesty and betrayal of another, this means maintaining a calm and rational composure, seeking to understand the underlying reasons behind the person's actions without losing sight of our ethical principles and personal values. The Stoic practice teaches us to resist the temptation to react impulsively or to be carried away by destructive emotions such as resentment or bitterness. Instead, it encourages us to cultivate an inner strength that allows us to face adversities with courage and dignity, always seeking solutions that foster justice and equity. Moreover, by adopting this philosophical perspective, we not only strengthen our own emotional resilience, but also lay the foundation for building stronger and more authentic future relationships. Through Stoicism, we learn to value the importance of honesty and mutual trust in our human interactions, thus promoting an environment of respect and genuine reciprocity that enriches both our personal life and our social relationships. In summary, the third revealing sign of an unfaithful and lying person highlights the disconnect between what they say and what they do, a contradiction that goes against the fundamental principles of Stoicism, such as integrity and coherence. Reflecting on these concepts in the context of Stoicism, we are reminded of the importance of living a life marked by honesty and sincerity, cultivating relationships rooted in mutual trust and virtue. At the heart of Stoicism lies the notion of living in harmony with nature and with oneself. This implies acting with coherence between our words and actions, manifesting a moral integrity that reflects our deepest values. The discrepancy between what we say and what we do undermines the very foundation of this integrity, eroding trust and undermining the stability of our interpersonal relationships. From the Stoic perspective, honesty and sincerity are considered cardinal virtues that guide us towards a life of authenticity and righteousness. By committing to truth in all our interactions, we cultivate an environment of trust and mutual respect that nurtures and strengthens our connections with others. Applying these principles in our daily lives not only preserves our own moral integrity, but also positively contributes to the well-being of those around us. Cultivating relationships based on mutual trust and virtue allows us to experience greater satisfaction and fulfillment in our social interactions, promoting a deeper sense of community and human connection. The fourth sign reveals the insidious presence of a deceitful person in our close circle. This figure shows a kind and praising face when we are present, but does not show true respect or recognition for us behind our backs. This situation confronts us with the painful reality that, despite our efforts to maintain a sincere and meaningful relationship, this person will never come to value our presence in their lives in the same way we value theirs. From the perspective of Stoicism, we find not only comfort, but also deep wisdom and guidance. This ancient philosophy invites us to embrace reality as it is, without illusions or fantasies, and encourages us to focus on what we can truly control, our own actions and thoughts. The Stoics teach us to cultivate virtues such as honesty, integrity, and justice for their own intrinsic merit, regardless of external recognition or others' approval. By adopting this perspective, we remind ourselves that the true value of our actions should not be determined by the variable and often disloyal response of deceitful people. These people can fluctuate in their words and actions, eventually betraying the trust we have placed in them. However, within the Stoic framework, we understand that the true measure of our worth lies in our coherence with our principles and the integrity with which we conduct our lives. Stoicism provides us with a solid ethical and philosophical framework to face the complexities of human relationships. It teaches us to be resilient in the face of disappointment and betrayal, strengthening our ability to maintain inner serenity and peace of mind even in moments of emotional adversity. This teaching invites us not to depend on the inconsistent behavior of others for our personal validation, but to cultivate a sense of self-esteem and self-worth that transcends external fluctuations. Integrating Stoic principles into our daily lives not only strengthens our own character, but also contributes to the creation of more authentic and meaningful relationships. By staying true to our values and living with integrity, we create an environment that fosters mutual trust and genuine respect. Ultimately, Stoicism offers us a path to inner peace and personal fulfillment, guiding us towards a life full of virtue and wisdom. In this context, Stoicism emerges as a beacon of wisdom, providing not only comfort, but also deep guidance for maintaining calm and mental clarity in the face of complex and sometimes painful relationships. It invites us to embrace reality as it is, accepting circumstances we cannot change, and focusing on those we can control, our own actions, thoughts, and emotions. One of the most powerful teachings of Stoicism is the importance of cultivating our personal and moral growth. It urges us to develop virtues such as honesty, integrity, and justice, not as means to obtain external recognition, but as ends in themselves, thus reflecting a life lived in alignment with our deepest values. By focusing on our own development and emotional well-being, we learn to build authentic and meaningful relationships based on authenticity and mutual respect. It is crucial to recognize that seeking external validation from dishonest people is a path that inevitably leads to disappointment and emotional suffering. Stoicism teaches us to find our own validation and self-esteem from within, valuing our integrity and personal coherence above the fluctuating opinions of others. This perspective frees us from the emotional dependency on those who may be inconsistent or deceitful in their actions and words. By adopting this approach, we not only strengthen our own character and emotional resilience, but also contribute to the construction of a healthier and more enriching relational environment. By staying firm in our principles and values, we create a space where mutual trust and genuine respect can flourish, nurturing relationships rooted in sincerity and honesty. In summary, Stoicism offers a path to inner peace and personal fulfillment, even amidst complex relationships. It equips us with the mental and emotional tools necessary to face emotional challenges with serenity and wisdom, guiding us towards a life of authenticity and true meaning. The fifth sign provides us with a valuable lesson that resonates deeply with Stoic principles. It teaches us that we should not focus solely on the eloquent and grandiloquent words that others may offer us. Instead, we should pay attention and give primary value to the concrete actions that back up those words. It is easy to be swayed by persuasive speeches and enthusiastic commitments, but the true judgment about the trustworthiness and reliability of a person lies in how they act and whether they fulfill what they say. Stoicism, with its deep focus on virtue, reason, and discernment, emerges as a reliable compass in this path. The Stoics instruct us not only on the importance of cultivating virtues such as prudence and justice, but also on maintaining an attitude of meticulous discernment towards the assertions and promises of others. Beyond pleasant words and ephemeral promises, it is essential to observe if those verbal expressions translate into consistent and honest actions in daily life. In this sense, Stoicism reminds us that true trust is not built solely from eloquent words or grand gestures, but through the consistent and demonstrated integrity in daily behavior. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the most prominent exponents of this philosophy, stated, "The greatness of a man lies not in what happens to him, but in what he does with what happens to him." This principle teaches us to value not only the words spoken in moments of convenience, but also the concrete actions that reflect sincerity and commitment over time. From this Stoic perspective, we are guided to evaluate our interactions and relationships with insight that goes beyond superficial appearances. It invites us to wisely weigh the words and actions of others, recognizing that authenticity and reliability are fundamental for establishing bonds based on mutual trust and genuine respect. Moreover, Stoicism encourages us to apply this fundamental principle not only to our interactions with others, but also to how we evaluate and relate to ourselves. It encourages us not only to profess our deepest principles and values, but to live according to them through consistent and meaningful actions. This philosophy guides us towards developing internal authenticity and integrity that go beyond external expectations and mere superficial appearances. At the heart of Stoicism lies the idea of living a life guided by virtue and reason, principles that urge us to act with prudence and justice in all our relationships, both with others and with ourselves. This perspective challenges us to look beyond promises and empty words, focusing on the importance of demonstrating our values through our daily actions. As Seneca, one of the prominent Stoic thinkers, taught, "True greatness lies in being just, wise, and kind." By internalizing these principles, we cultivate internal coherence that strengthens us to face life's challenges with serenity and dignity. It enables us to make informed and ethical decisions that reflect our true nature and highest aspirations. This constant practice of living in alignment with our principles also helps us develop self-esteem based on personal integrity and self-acceptance, freeing us from the need for external validation or to meet superficial expectations. Thus, the fifth sign not only alerts us to the essentiality that actions speak louder than words in interpersonal relationships, but also urges us to adopt a Stoic perspective that fosters deep reflection and personal responsibility in our quest for truth and the construction of genuine trust. From the Stoic viewpoint, this teaching guides us towards a deeper understanding of how our daily actions, more than our mere verbal expressions, truly shape the quality and authenticity of our relationships. The Stoics teach us that coherence between what we say and what we do is crucial for establishing and maintaining mutual trust and sincere respect. In this sense, Stoicism invites us to cultivate constant awareness of our choices and behaviors, ensuring they are aligned with our deepest values and ethical aspirations. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, urges us to live consistently with our principles, reminding us that true virtue manifests not only in moments of decision, but in our daily actions and habitual conduct. By integrating these principles into our daily lives, we not only strengthen our relationships with others, but also nurture self-esteem founded on integrity and authenticity. We free ourselves from the need to seek external validation or to depend on superficial approval, finding instead internal satisfaction derived from living consistently with our values. In summary, the fifth sign reminds us that authenticity and consistency in our actions are fundamental for building solid and meaningful human bonds. Through the lens of Stoicism, we learn to be aware of our words and actions, thus cultivating relationships based on genuine trust and mutual respect, advancing towards a fuller and more satisfying life in harmony with our highest ethical principles. The sixth sign, often observed in romantic relationship contexts, presents us with a powerful reminder of the nature of true love and the teachings we can draw from a Stoic perspective. This sign reveals the presence of a treacherous person who manipulates those who love them, keeping them constantly available and under their control. This behavior not only undermines trust and mutual respect, but also distorts the true essence of love. From a Stoic perspective, we can understand that true love is not meant to restrict or control, but to foster freedom and mutual respect between the involved individuals. The Stoics teach us that the most significant and enduring relationships should be based on virtue, honesty, and voluntary and conscious reciprocity. Loving from this Stoic perspective means deeply valuing the autonomy and integrity of both oneself and the partner, allowing each individual to flourish and develop on their own path towards wisdom and full happiness. Within the framework of Stoicism, love is conceived as a mutual commitment to support and growth, where each person commits to contributing to the other's well-being and personal development, without impositions or excessive expectations. This philosophy encourages us to cultivate relationships based on respect for individuality and a deep understanding of each other's needs and aspirations. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, teaches us that true love involves recognizing and respecting each person's personal boundaries, honoring their ability to make autonomous decisions and pursue their own goals. This vision invites us to be aware of our actions and words in the context of love relationships, ensuring that they contribute to strengthening mutual trust and understanding. By integrating these Stoic principles into our love lives, we not only promote more authentic and satisfying relationships, but also contribute to our own spiritual and emotional growth. We learn to love selflessly and understandingly, prioritizing our partner's genuine well-being and happiness without losing sight of our integrity and personal development. Additionally, Stoicism teaches us to adopt an attitude of serene acceptance and emotional strength in the face of challenges that may arise in our interpersonal relationships. We deeply recognize that we cannot control the actions and decisions of others, but we do have the power and responsibility to manage our own responses and choices. This ancient philosophy equips us to maintain a clear and rational perspective in our personal interactions, prioritizing values such as honesty, loyalty, and reciprocity over emotional manipulation and dependency. Within the framework of Stoicism, we cultivate a deep understanding of human nature and the inherent limitations of our relationships with others. It teaches us that our actions and decisions must be in harmony with our highest ethical principles, thus fostering a life based on virtue and personal integrity. This philosophy invites us to develop constant self-awareness, evaluating our own motivations and behaviors with honesty and sincerity. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic thinkers, stated, "The happiness and freedom of your life depend on the quality of your thoughts," thus emphasizing the importance of maintaining internal clarity and honesty in all our interactions. In summary, the sixth sign provides us with an opportunity to deeply reflect on our practice of love and relationships, applying fundamental Stoic principles as a guide. It urges us to explore how we can cultivate authentic and enriching relationships, founded on values such as virtue, authenticity, and mutual respect. From a Stoic perspective, true love is not about possessing or controlling the other, but about creating a space where both individuals can grow, learn, and develop freely. It is a mutual commitment to personal growth and the well-being of the other, promoting an emotional connection based on trust and sincerity. This philosophy offers us a solid ethical and emotional framework for building meaningful and healthy relationships. It teaches us that virtue is not only a goal in itself, but also the foundation on which lasting and satisfying relationships are built. As Epictetus, one of the most notable Stoic philosophers, taught, "Love does not mean possessing or being possessed, but participating in an act of reciprocity." By applying these principles in our love lives, we foster an environment of genuine respect and mutual support. We value each person's autonomy and integrity, allowing each to follow their own path towards wisdom and personal fulfillment. This Stoic vision helps us avoid emotional dependency and manipulation, choosing instead relationships based on emotional freedom and shared spiritual growth. The sixth sign challenges us to re-examine our perceptions and practices of love and relationships, embracing Stoicism as a beacon of wisdom for navigating the complexities of the emotional world. It inspires us to seek authentic and deep connections, where virtue and authenticity are the pillars on which we build our understanding of true love and lasting happiness. The seventh sign provides us with a valuable lesson that resonates deeply with Stoic principles about human relationships. It warns us that the true nature of love and genuine connection between people is not measured solely by empty words or gestures, but by the active willingness to share meaningful time and make mutual sacrifices. From the perspective of Stoicism, which emphasizes virtue, reason, and self-discipline, we can understand that true love involves a sincere and ongoing commitment from both parties. The Stoics offer us profound teachings on the value of generosity and reciprocity in our personal relationships, highlighting the importance of dedicating time and energy to mutual companionship and being willing to make personal sacrifices for the other's benefit. These concrete acts are tangible manifestations of our commitment to the well-being and happiness of those around us, rather than focusing exclusively on our own desires and needs. Stoicism urges us to adopt a broader and more compassionate perspective. It invites us to actively consider how our actions can contribute to the flourishing and fulfillment of our loved ones, integrating their interests and aspirations into our own path towards virtue and personal fulfillment. In this context, we cultivate relationships founded on values such as empathy, solidarity, and genuine commitment. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, reminds us that a happy life is a life that is in harmony with its own nature. From this perspective, the practice of generosity and reciprocity not only enriches our personal relationships, but also strengthens our sense of purpose and connection to the world around us. By integrating these principles into our daily lives, we not only promote deeper and more meaningful relationships, but also cultivate greater authenticity and personal satisfaction. We recognize that our happiness is intrinsically linked to the happiness of those we love and value, thus fostering a sense of community and mutual support that transcends individual limitations. Moreover, this teaching emphasizes the profound importance of honesty and transparency in all our interpersonal interactions. Being sincere about our capabilities, availability, and willingness to invest time and effort in a relationship is essential to establish realistic expectations and avoid painful disappointments in the long term. From the perspective of Stoicism, serene acceptance of reality plays a crucial role. We recognize that not all personal connections will be equally deep or destined to last indefinitely. However, each significant encounter, whether brief or lasting, provides us with the invaluable opportunity to grow, learn, and enrich our lives. It is essential to understand that honesty not only involves sharing our limitations and strengths, but also acting consistently with our values and ethical principles. This strengthens not only our personal relationships, but also our integrity and self-esteem. As the Stoics like Marcus Aurelius taught, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, thus emphasizing the importance of maintaining mental clarity and internal honesty in all our interactions. In summary, the seventh sign offers us a valuable opportunity to deepen our reflections on human relationships from a Stoic perspective, highlighting the fundamental importance of action over words. It reminds us that genuine and lasting love is built on a solid foundation of shared time, mutual sacrifices, and sincere and continuous commitment. From Stoic philosophy, this teaching acquires deeper meaning by emphasizing that our daily actions are the most faithful reflection of our true feelings and commitments. It is through our decisions and daily behaviors that we manifest our commitment to the well-being and happiness of those we love. By adopting this perspective, we not only cultivate more satisfying and deep relationships, but also strengthen our own integrity and moral coherence. Moreover, Stoicism offers us tools to face the adversities and challenges that inevitably arise in any relationship. It teaches us to maintain serenity and wisdom in the face of life's vicissitudes, reminding us that true emotional strength lies in our ability to accept reality with equanimity and adapt flexibly to changing circumstances. By integrating these principles into our lives, we not only improve our interpersonal relationships, but also cultivate a deeper sense of purpose and personal fulfillment. We empower ourselves to live in accordance with our highest values and to approach challenges with renewed confidence in our abilities and the strength of our effective bonds. In essence, the seventh sign invites us to embrace a Stoic vision of love and relationships, where authentic action and sincere commitment are the pillars on which we build a path towards shared fulfillment and happiness. It is a call to live with integrity and generosity, ensuring that our relationships not only survive, but flourish in mutual respect and continuous admiration. The phenomenon of constant opinion changes is an intriguing and often frustrating manifestation of human nature. You have now reached the halfway mark of the video. I congratulate you for trying to become a better version of yourself, and I also humbly ask you to leave a comment, as it helps my channel immensely. If you do not know what to comment, just write "mind over body" so I know you reached this far. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Also, I've linked some books on Stoicism that helped me become the man I am today, and will also help you achieve a Stoic mindset. The tendency to constantly change opinions is frequently observed in individuals whose words and viewpoints fluctuate significantly depending on whom they are interacting with or the circumstances they find themselves in. This behavior can arise for various reasons, adapting to different audiences for acceptance, avoiding conflicts, or even lacking personal conviction in their beliefs. From the perspective of Stoic philosophy, this phenomenon can be interpreted and addressed in several ways, offering valuable lessons on integrity, consistency, and authenticity. The Stoics, such as Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, taught fundamental principles that invite us to live with virtue and wisdom, facing external fluctuations with inner serenity and clarity of judgment. The first relevant Stoic teaching in this context is the importance of consistency between our words and actions. For a Stoic, coherence is a central virtue that reflects a commitment to ethical principles and constant self-development. In the words of Seneca, consistency is the virtue that most pleases the gods. This implies that a person who constantly changes opinions may lack this virtue, showing a lack of integrity and firmness in their convictions. From the Stoic perspective, coherence does not mean maintaining a rigid and inflexible stance at all times, but involves a deep commitment to ethical reflection and the conscious adaptation of our opinions and actions. The Stoics teach that true coherence arises from a constant alignment with the fundamental principles that guide our lives, such as virtue, reason, and wisdom. Unlike dogmatic rigidity, Stoic coherence implies the ability to discern when it is appropriate to adjust our beliefs and behaviors. This discernment is based on a continuous and honest evaluation of the situation, incorporating new information and perspectives without compromising the ethical principles that uphold our personal integrity. It is a process that requires authenticity and sincerity with oneself, prioritizing the search for truth over superficial complacency. In this sense, the Stoics value the capacity for adaptation as a manifestation of virtue. This does not imply changing opinions merely to avoid conflicts or gain others' approval, but rather to deepen our understanding of reality and act more aligned with reason and the common good. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, taught that wisdom lies in the ability to discern what is within our control and what is not, adapting our response wisely to life's changing circumstances. Stoic flexibility also manifests in accepting our limitations and the willingness to learn from our mistakes. The Stoics recognize that knowledge and understanding are continuous and dynamic processes, not static. Therefore, changing opinions based on new perceptions or experiences is not only natural, but also essential for our personal growth and moral development. This adaptability strengthens our ability to make informed and ethical decisions, promoting more genuine and harmonious relationships with others. Moreover, Stoic coherence is not limited only to our external interactions, but also extends to our relationship with ourselves. Introspection and self-evaluation are central practices in Stoic philosophy, allowing us to maintain internal coherence by aligning our actions with our deepest values and principles. This involves being aware of our motivations and being willing to correct our course when our actions deviate from our ethical ideals within the framework of Stoicism. Besides consistency and authenticity, another crucial concept is personal integrity, which involves the unity and consistency between our moral principles and our daily actions. The Stoics teach that true virtue lies in living according to our deepest values, without compromising our integrity in seeking external approval. A person who constantly changes opinions may face an internal conflict between their true self and the image they project to others. This contradicts the Stoic ideal of maintaining both internal and external coherence, where our words and actions faithfully reflect our ethical and moral principles. As Epictetus emphasized, authenticity requires being honest not only with others but also with ourselves, acting with integrity and congruence in all circumstances. In this sense, Stoic authenticity involves a continuous process of self-knowledge and honest self-evaluation. It urges us to examine our motives behind each change of opinion and discern whether these changes are grounded in a deeper understanding of truth or merely a response to external pressures. The ability to maintain integrity in our beliefs and actions, even in the face of adversity or criticism, is seen by the Stoics as a sign of moral strength and wisdom. Furthermore, authenticity within Stoicism is also related to the idea of living in accordance with nature. This means accepting our human limitations and virtues, as well as recognizing the impermanence and constant change in life. The Stoics do not seek unreal perfection or an idealized image of themselves, but aspire to be true to their principles even in difficult or challenging situations. On the other hand, the pursuit of external approval through frequent opinion changes is seen by the Stoics as a way of living in conflict with nature and oneself. This not only generates emotional and spiritual instability, but also undermines the ability to build authentic and meaningful relationships based on trust and mutual respect. A third relevant Stoic principle is the acceptance of reality as it is. This implies recognizing that change is a constant in life and that our opinions can evolve as we acquire new experiences and knowledge. However, this process should be based on an honest search for truth and not on a superficial adaptation to external circumstances. The Stoic seeks wisdom through continuous learning and internal reflection, maintaining an open mind, but also clear judgment and moral firmness. Besides coherence with the Logos, the Stoic concept also encompasses the idea of living in harmony with nature, which implies not only a rational understanding of universal principles, but also wise adaptation to changing circumstances. The Stoics recognize that life is full of variability and that we constantly face challenges that require flexibility and adaptation. In this context, a person who constantly changes opinions could benefit from applying the Stoic principles of discernment and adaptability. The Logos, as a fundamental Stoic principle, represents not only universal reason, but also the ordered structure of the universe underlying all things. Living according to the Logos involves not only acting rationally, but also aligning with the natural order of the cosmos. accepting both moments of change and stability with equanimity and clarity of judgment. For the Stoics, practicing living according to the Logos is not just a matter of adhering to abstract principles, but also of applying these principles practically in daily life. This involves cultivating the ability to reflect on our actions and decisions, considering how our choices affect not only ourselves, but also those around us and the world in general. A person who frequently changes opinions could reflect on how their decisions reflect or contradict the universal principles of the Logos, and how this affects their internal coherence and sense of purpose. Additionally, the Stoics value wisdom as a guide for ethical living. Wisdom implies not only intellectual knowledge, but also the ability to discern what is true, good, and just in each particular situation. In the case of a person who frequently changes opinions, cultivating Stoic wisdom might mean developing a deeper understanding of the underlying reasons for their fluctuations and how these might align or not with the universal principles of reason and morality. Besides reason and wisdom, the Stoics also emphasize virtue as the path to a full and meaningful life. Living according to the Logos involves not only acting rationally, but also cultivating Stoic virtues such as courage, justice, temperance, and prudence. A person who frequently changes opinions might reflect on how cultivating these virtues could lead to greater internal coherence and a more ethical and satisfying life. From a practical perspective, Stoic philosophy offers tools to face the challenge of constant opinion changes. It teaches us to cultivate self-discipline and self-examination, practicing introspection and regularly evaluating our motivations and actions. This helps us maintain internal coherence and make informed and ethical decisions in all areas of our lives, including our social interactions and public opinions. Ultimately, the constant change of opinions invites us to reflect on the nature of personal identity and moral integrity. Stoic philosophy provides an ethical and practical framework to address this phenomenon with wisdom and discernment, promoting a life of virtue, coherence, and authenticity. When facing the phenomenon of constant opinion changes, Stoic philosophy provides a beacon of guidance. It invites us to live according to the Logos, embracing universal reason and morality as guides for our decisions and actions. By doing so, we cultivate a life of virtue, coherence, and authenticity, building more genuine and meaningful relationships in all areas of our lives. This approach not only strengthens our inner peace and personal fulfillment, but also contributes to the community's overall well-being by reflecting the universal values fundamental to a harmonious and ethical society. Manipulating others as pawns to achieve personal goals without considering the harm that may be caused is a practice that contravenes fundamental ethical and moral principles. From the Stoic perspective, this behavior directly opposes the values of virtue, justice, and compassion, which are central to this ancient and revered philosophy. Stoicism, which flourished in ancient Greece and Rome, offers a robust ethical guide for how we relate to others and manage our actions in the world. The Stoics teach that virtue is the highest good, and that living according to reason and nature is essential to achieving happiness and inner peace. In this context, manipulating others as pawns directly contradicts these principles and leads to a life marked by a lack of integrity and authenticity. One of the fundamental aspects of Stoicism is the idea that we must live consistently with our principles, always acting with virtue and wisdom, regardless of external circumstances. This includes treating others justly, compassionately, and respectfully in all our interactions. However, a person who uses others as pawns deviates from this ethical ideal. Instead of treating people as autonomous beings with their own rights and dignity, they see them as mere instruments to achieve their selfish ends. From a Stoic perspective, manipulating others reflects a lack of respect for the inherent dignity and value of each individual. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, emphasized the importance of authenticity and integrity in our actions. He taught that we must be aware of our own motives and be honest with ourselves and others at all times. However, a person who manipulates others as pawns acts oppositely, hiding their true intentions behind a facade of kindness or utility, without considering the negative impact this may have on others. Furthermore, the Stoics valued justice as a fundamental principle for living a virtuous life. This meant treating others equitably and not exploiting their vulnerability or goodwill for personal gain. A person who manipulates others as pawns ignores this basic principle of justice, using innocent people as mere means to an selfish end, without concern for the detrimental effects this may have on their emotional, mental, or physical well-being. Another crucial aspect of Stoicism is the idea of living in harmony with nature and accepting the things we cannot control. This includes accepting and respecting the autonomy and agency of others. However, a person who manipulates others tries to control and direct their actions and decisions according to their own interests, without considering whether they are acting according to their own will and values. From a practical perspective, Stoic philosophy teaches us to cultivate relationships based on mutual trust, respect, and reciprocity. This approach focuses on building genuine and meaningful bonds, where each individual is valued for their intrinsic dignity and not for their utility as a means to achieve selfish ends. In a relationship based on Stoic principles, people treat each other with justice and equity, recognizing and respecting each other's capacities and aspirations. Manipulation, on the other hand, undermines these essential foundations. When someone uses others as pawns for their objectives, they create unequal and coercive dynamics that erode trust and integrity in human relationships. These dynamics not only harm the manipulated individuals, but also corrupt the character of the manipulator, distancing them from virtue and a life of ethical coherence. Manipulation engenders distrust, resentment, and conflict, elements that are antithetical to a life lived in harmony with Stoic principles. The Stoics remind us that the true value of our actions and their impact on others must be evaluated not only by the superficial results we can achieve, but by the ethical coherence and honesty we maintain at all times. This principle is reflected in the teachings of Stoic philosophers such as Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, who advocated for a life of integrity and authenticity. For them, acting with virtue means maintaining a straight and honest conduct, regardless of external circumstances or the possible short-term benefits that manipulation may offer. Manipulation based on deception and exploitation goes against the rational and social nature of human beings that the Stoics consider fundamental for communal life. Stoic philosophy promotes the idea that we are interdependent beings and that our actions should contribute to the common good, not just our individual interests. When we manipulate others, we fracture this network of interdependence and create a toxic environment that hinders both individual and collective flourishing. Moreover, manipulation is a reflection of a mind disturbed by uncontrolled passions, such as the desire for power or greed. The Stoics teach that we must control our passions and act according to reason. Epictetus, for example, emphasizes the importance of maintaining serenity and control over our emotional reactions, avoiding allowing desire and fear to divert us from our path to virtue. Manipulating others to achieve our ends is a sign that we have allowed our passions to dominate our reason, leading us down a path contrary to the Stoic teaching of ataraxia, or tranquility of the soul. By staying true to the Stoic principles of reason, virtue, and compassion, we can transform our relationships and our life in general. This philosophy guides us toward a fuller and more meaningful existence, where respect for others and personal integrity are fundamental. It reminds us that true fulfillment is not found in exploiting others to achieve our selfish ends, but in living according to our highest values and positively contributing to the lives of others. Ultimately, using others as pawns to achieve selfish personal goals undermines the Stoic pursuit of virtue and personal fulfillment. By adopting a more ethical and reflective view of our interactions with others, we can cultivate a more authentic and satisfying life, guided by the principles of reason, virtue, and compassion. This implies recognizing the dignity and value of each individual and acting with respect and consideration toward them, rather than treating them as mere instruments to satisfy our desires and ambitions. Subtle sabotage is an insidious form of manipulation where a person, without assuming direct responsibility, interferes with your efforts and projects in a way that undermines your progress and success. This type of behavior is particularly damaging because it is difficult to detect and confront. Often, the actions that constitute subtle sabotage can appear benign or even friendly at first glance, allowing the saboteur to maintain an appearance of innocence while systematically weakening your initiatives. From a Stoic perspective, subtle sabotage presents a significant challenge, but also an opportunity to apply the principles of Stoic philosophy in everyday life. Stoicism, a school of thought founded in ancient Greece, emphasizes the importance of living according to reason, virtue, and nature, regardless of external circumstances. This approach can provide valuable guidance for handling and overcoming subtle sabotage. The first step in dealing with subtle sabotage is to recognize it. This type of behavior can manifest in many ways. A person might delay the delivery of crucial information, provide half-hearted support, subtly question your decisions to sow doubt, or discreetly spread rumors. The Stoics teach us to observe our circumstances with clarity and objectivity, avoiding being carried away by negative emotions or unfounded assumptions. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, reminds us that it is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Applying this teaching, we can evaluate others' actions with emotional detachment, identifying patterns of behavior that may indicate subtle sabotage. By maintaining a critical and rational observation attitude, it is possible to discern the intentions behind seemingly innocuous actions and take appropriate measures. Subtle sabotage can cause frustration and anxiety, especially when faced repeatedly. However, the Stoics teach that we must maintain serenity and mental clarity in all situations. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, writes, "The mind colors itself with the color of its thoughts." By cultivating thoughts of calm and rationality, we can protect our inner peace against sabotage attempts. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of focusing on what is within our control. While we cannot control others' actions, we can control our responses to those actions. This means that instead of reacting with anger or despair, we can adopt a proactive and strategic stance, seeking solutions and adaptations that allow us to continue progressing in our projects despite interferences. One of the central teachings of Stoicism is that adversities are opportunities to practice virtue. Facing subtle sabotage can strengthen our resilience and our ability to act with integrity and determination. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, suggests that difficulties reveal the true strength of our character. Fortune strikes hard so that we can resist hard. By adopting this perspective, we can see subtle sabotage not only as an obstacle, but also as an opportunity to grow and demonstrate our virtues. Patience, perseverance, and wisdom become crucial in this process. By remaining firm in our values and principles, we show that we will not be diverted from our path by others' actions. To effectively deal with subtle sabotage, we can apply several Stoic strategies. 1. Developing autonomy. The Stoics value self-sufficiency and self-reliance. By developing our skills and knowledge, we reduce our dependence on those who might try to sabotage us. This involves learning to perform critical tasks ourselves and seeking multiple sources of support and information. 2. Strengthening communication. Clarity in communication is vital to counter subtle sabotage. Setting clear expectations and documenting agreements and decisions can reduce ambiguity and provide evidence in case of disputes. Additionally, maintaining open and honest communication with all team members can help identify and resolve problems before they escalate. 3. Practicing prudence. Prudence is one of the cardinal virtues in Stoicism. Carefully evaluating others' actions and intentions allows us to anticipate possible sabotage and prepare appropriate responses. This also includes being selective in choosing our collaborators and delegating important tasks. 4. Maintaining integrity. Despite provocations, maintaining our integrity is crucial. We should not fall into the trap of responding to sabotage with similar tactics. Instead, by acting with honesty and uprightness, we not only preserve our virtue, but also set an ethical standard for others. 5. Practicing Stoic indifference. Finally, Stoic indifference towards what we cannot control allows us to maintain inner peace. By accepting that we cannot always change others' behavior, we can focus on our actions and attitudes, ensuring they align with our values. Subtle sabotage is a destructive form of manipulation that can undermine our efforts and projects. However, Stoic philosophy offers valuable tools and perspectives to face this challenge. By recognizing and addressing subtle sabotage with serenity, mental clarity, and a firm adherence to our ethical principles, we can overcome these difficulties and continue our path towards virtue and personal fulfillment. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches that our true strength and value lie in our ability to act with integrity and wisdom, regardless of others' actions. Hidden insecurity is a common phenomenon in human behavior where a person projects an image of confidence and self-sufficiency while internally struggling with deep doubts and fears. This duality not only affects interpersonal relationships and public perception, but also significantly impacts the person's inner peace and emotional well-being. Relating this behavior to Stoic philosophy allows us to explore how Stoic teachings can help face and overcome hidden insecurity, promoting a life of virtue, coherence, and authenticity. Hidden insecurity is a complex phenomenon that manifests when a person tries to disguise their fears and doubts behind an appearance of confidence and authority. This behavior can have multiple underlying motivations, such as seeking external approval, fear of rejection, or social pressure to project an image of success and competence. Although externally they may appear secure and competent, internally they may be dealing with deep feelings of inadequacy, fear of failure, and a lack of self-esteem that persists within them. This dichotomy between external appearance and internal conflict can have significant repercussions on the person's personal and professional life. On the one hand, the constant effort to maintain a facade of security can generate stress and anxiety, as it involves constant vigilance to avoid any hint of vulnerability. This self-imposed pressure can lead the person to adopt defensive or perfectionist behaviors, constantly seeking validation and avoiding any situation that might expose their insecurities. On the other hand, the lack of authenticity in expressing their true feelings and doubts can hinder the construction of genuine and meaningful relationships. The inability to show vulnerability and accept imperfection can create emotional barriers that prevent intimate connection and mutual trust. This can result in emotional isolation, where the person feels increasingly distant and disconnected from others, even when they are apparently surrounded by people. In a professional context, hidden insecurity can limit growth and professional development. Although the person may achieve external successes, such as promotions or recognitions, the lack of genuine self-confidence can sabotage their ability to lead effectively, take calculated risks, or manage uncertainty with serenity. Additionally, the constant concern to maintain an image of competence can hinder the active pursuit of learning and professional growth, thus limiting their long-term development potential. Stoicism, a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece and was prominent in Rome, offers practical guidance for facing hidden insecurity. The Stoics teach that inner peace and true confidence come from living in harmony with nature, acting according to reason, and cultivating the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. One of the pillars of Stoicism is wisdom, which implies a deep understanding of oneself and the world. According to the Stoics, self-acceptance is essential to achieving wisdom. Recognizing and accepting our insecurities and flaws, instead of hiding them, allows us to work on them constructively. Epictetus, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, emphasizes the importance of knowing oneself and living according to our true nature, without pretending to be what we are not. Courage is another fundamental virtue in Stoicism. In the context of hidden insecurity, courage manifests as the bravery to be honest with ourselves and others. This implies facing our fears and vulnerabilities openly instead of hiding them behind a mask of false confidence. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, advises that courage consists in being honest with oneself and accepting the truth without self-deception. Hidden insecurity is a common challenge that can deeply affect our inner peace and relationships. However, Stoic philosophy offers powerful tools to face and overcome this insecurity. By living according to the Stoic principles of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we can cultivate a life of coherence and authenticity. This not only allows us to overcome our insecurities, but also to live in harmony with our deepest values, building a solid foundation for inner peace and personal fulfillment. The practical application of these virtues helps us face our insecurities constructively, strengthening our ability to live a full and meaningful life, guided by reason and virtue. Destructive criticism is an inevitable reality in our lives. From unfounded judgments to malicious comments, these criticisms can undermine our confidence and disturb our inner peace. However, Stoicism offers a valuable perspective on how to face and handle these criticisms constructively. The Stoics, such as Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, teach us not to be overly affected by others' opinions. They remind us that others' opinions about us are beyond our direct control and therefore should not determine our self-esteem or self-worth. Instead of reacting impulsively to destructive criticisms, the Stoics invite us to reflect calmly and objectively on their content. A fundamental tool of Stoicism is the practice of indifference toward what is beyond our control. This involves distinguishing between what we can change and what we must accept serenely. Destructive criticisms, like other external events, fall into the category of what we cannot control. Therefore, cultivating a healthy attitude of indifference allows us to maintain our inner peace and avoid excessive emotional reactions. Another fundamental and deeply rooted aspect of Stoicism is the practice of constructive self-criticism. Unlike outright rejecting criticisms, the Stoics encourage us to approach them with humility and sincerity. This approach is not simply about tolerating criticisms, but seeing them as valuable opportunities for personal growth and the development of wisdom. When we receive criticisms, especially those that can be hard to accept, the Stoics invite us to reflect deeply on their content. Instead of being carried away by emotions such as defensiveness or resentment, they encourage us to consider if there are aspects of ourselves that we could improve or adjust. This act of self-examination allows us to recognize our imperfections objectively and constructively. Accepting criticism constructively involves being willing to learn and grow from it. If we identify areas where we can improve, Stoicism urges us to act with determination to correct ourselves. This attitude not only strengthens our emotional resilience in the face of adversity, but also nurtures a mindset of continuous growth. The process of self-criticism, in the Stoic context, is not limited to immediate personal improvement, but also contributes to our long-term spiritual and ethical development. By cultivating a constant disposition to evaluate our actions and attitudes, we embark on a path of continuous self-improvement and inner maturation. This path has no defined end, but becomes a journey of learning and self-reflection that enriches our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Moreover, Stoicism urges us to maintain a broad perspective on our lives and broader goals. Destructive criticisms are often laden with negative emotions and personal biases. Keeping our focus on our principles and long-term goals helps us put these criticisms into perspective, evaluating them clearly and determining their real relevance to our path toward personal fulfillment. In summary, Stoicism offers a robust philosophical framework for addressing destructive criticisms constructively and transformatively. By adopting the Stoic principles of indifference toward what is beyond our direct control, sincere self-criticism, and focus on higher goals, we can turn negative criticisms into valuable opportunities for personal growth and inner strengthening. The practice of Stoic indifference does not imply ignoring criticisms, but rather maintaining inner serenity in the face of what we cannot change, others' opinions and judgments. This approach frees us from the emotional burden of destructive criticisms, allowing us to maintain mental and emotional peace unaffected by external fluctuations. Moreover, the sincere self-criticism promoted by Stoicism invites us to examine criticisms with humility and objectivity. It encourages us to discern if there are truths we can extract from them, identifying areas where we can improve and grow as individuals. This practice not only strengthens our emotional resilience in the face of adversity, but also fosters a sense of personal responsibility and a commitment to our continuous development. On the other hand, focusing on our higher goals helps us contextualize criticisms within a broader perspective. By keeping our attention on our aspirations and fundamental values, we can evaluate criticisms from a perspective that transcends momentary and superficial opinions. This enables us to filter constructive criticisms from those that are not, guiding us toward an informed and productive response. In conclusion, Stoicism equips us with the tools necessary not only to face but also to take advantage of destructive criticisms as opportunities for personal growth and development. This ancient philosophy teaches us to be resilient in the face of adverse opinions, cultivating inner peace rooted in our own worth and the constant pursuit of wisdom and virtue. Thus, we can navigate the turbulent waters of criticism with serenity and determination, maintaining our integrity and advancing toward our best version with confidence and clarity. The manipulation of facts is a common practice in the information age. Media, social networks, and various entities can distort reality to serve their interests. This manipulation can generate confusion, misinformation, and a distorted perception of the events and realities that surround us. In this context, Stoicism offers valuable tools to navigate this sea of misinformation and maintain the integrity of our judgment and inner peace. Stoicism, a philosophy that emerged in ancient Greece and developed in Rome, emphasizes the importance of distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. According to the Stoics, our perceptions and judgments are areas where we have complete control. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, reminds us that it is not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. When facing the manipulation of facts, the Stoic perspective invites us to question the truthfulness of the information we receive and to exercise our judgment critically. Instead of passively accepting everything presented to us, we can apply rationality and logic to evaluate the credibility of sources and the coherence of arguments. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, advises us to constantly examine our impressions and not be swayed by impulsive emotions or popular opinion. Additionally, Stoicism teaches us to remain calm and composed in the face of misinformation. The manipulation of facts can provoke fear, anger, or anxiety. However, a Stoic seeks to cultivate apatheia, understood as freedom from uncontrolled passions. By adopting this attitude, we can preserve our mental tranquility and not allow negative emotions to dominate us. The practice of virtue is one of the most fundamental and profound pillars of Stoicism. In a global environment where the manipulation of facts can blur the lines between truth and falsehood, the Stoic principles of wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation offer an unyielding moral guide. These principles not only guide us toward ethical actions and decisions, but also strengthen our resilience against external pressures that might tempt us to distort the truth for personal or particular interests. Stoic wisdom urges us to discern with clarity and objectivity, transcending superficial perceptions to achieve a deeper understanding of events and situations. This discernment empowers us to act justly, making decisions that consider not only our immediate interests, but also the ethical and moral impact on others and society as a whole. Stoic courage pushes us to face challenges with bravery and determination, even when the truth may be uncomfortable or adverse to our desires. It teaches us to stand firm in our moral principles, resisting the pressure to conform to manipulated versions of reality. Moderation, on the other hand, guides us toward a conscious balance in our actions and decisions. It steers us away from impulsive or irrational extremes and invites us to practice self-restraint, thus avoiding any inclination to distort the truth due to emotional excesses or selfish motivations. Finally, Stoicism offers individual tools for confronting the manipulation of facts and promotes the idea of community and human connection as fundamental in the pursuit of truth and integrity. In a world where information can be distorted to generate division and mistrust, the Stoics emphasize the importance of harmony and cooperation among people. They remind us that we are all part of an interconnected global community where our individual actions have a significant collective impact. By adopting the principles of honesty and transparency in communication, we not only strengthen social bonds, but also contribute to the common good. This philosophy invites us to cultivate relationships based on trust and mutual respect, fundamental for building resilient and cohesive societies. Instead of succumbing to manipulation and discord, the Stoics encourage us to work together to discern the truth and promote mutual understanding, thus creating an environment where integrity and authenticity thrive. In summary, the manipulation of facts is a challenging reality today, but Stoicism offers a valuable guide to facing it. Through the exercise of critical judgment, emotional equanimity, adherence to virtue, and the promotion of community harmony, we can navigate a world full of misinformation and maintain our integrity and inner peace. Stoic philosophy, with its focus on what we can control and its call to virtue, provides us with the necessary tools to live authentically and serenely, even in the face of the manipulation of facts. False kindness is a common phenomenon in human interactions, where appearances of courtesy and benevolence can conceal less sincere motivations. In the context of Stoicism, this form of behavior is viewed critically and offers a deep reflection on how to build authentic and meaningful relationships. From the Stoic perspective, genuine kindness is not limited to superficial gestures or empty words, but arises from a genuine commitment to virtue and the well-being of others. This contrasts with false kindness, which may be motivated by the desire to gain something in return, such as approval, favor, or the manipulation of public perception. One of the central principles of Stoicism is living according to reason and virtue. This involves acting with honesty and sincerity in all our interactions, without masks or hidden agendas. False kindness, on the other hand, deviates from this Stoic ethic by promoting a superficial and often deceptive image of oneself. In human relationships, false kindness can be particularly damaging, as it creates barriers of distrust and disappointment, eroding the authenticity and genuine connection between people. The Stoics teach us to cultivate relationships based on mutual trust and honest respect, where frank communication and transparency play a crucial role. Additionally, Stoicism invites us to delve into the practice of the virtue of justice in all our social interactions. This principle involves not only treating others with fairness and consideration, but also acting with integrity and responsibility towards their emotional and physical well-being. At the heart of this virtue is the recognition of shared humanity and the intrinsic value of each individual, regardless of external differences. Practicing justice, according to the Stoics, involves avoiding any form of manipulation or rotation of others' trust to satisfy our selfish ends or gain personal advantages. Instead, it involves acting with transparency and honesty, always seeking the common good and mutual respect in our interactions. False kindness, on the other hand, can distort this virtue by focusing on maintaining an external appearance of courtesy and kindness while ignoring or minimizing others' true interests and needs. This form of behavior can be perceived as superficial or manipulative, as it may use kind gestures as a means to achieve personal goals, such as gaining favor or avoiding conflicts. Stoic temperance, besides being fundamental for managing our emotions and actions in human relationships, represents an essential pillar in the practical philosophy of living well. This virtue provides us with the ability to maintain calm and composure at all times, especially when facing challenging or conflicting situations. It teaches us to cultivate inner serenity, which acts as a shield against impulsive or reactive responses that could arise if we are not aware of our thoughts and emotions. In the context of human relationships, Stoic temperance translates into an emotional balance that allows us to handle conflicts and disagreements with maturity and clarity. Instead of reacting impulsively to provocations or criticisms, we practice reflective pause and self-evaluation. This helps us respond more consciously and constructively, seeking solutions that promote harmony and mutual understanding. Moreover, temperance enables us to cultivate effective and empathetic communication. By maintaining emotional balance, we can listen actively to others without prejudice and hasty judgments. This skill not only strengthens our interpersonal bonds, but also fosters an environment of trust and openness in our relationships. From the Stoic perspective, temperance goes beyond superficial self-control. It involves a deep commitment to living according to our highest principles and values. It guides us to practice moderation in our actions and reactions, avoiding both excessive emotionality and insensitive coldness. Instead, it encourages us to seek a middle ground that promotes wisdom and virtue in our daily interactions. Ultimately, Stoicism offers a valuable guide to navigating the complexities of human relationships with integrity and authenticity. It invites us to reflect on our motivations and cultivate genuine kindness that emanates from a sincere and compassionate heart. By practicing these Stoic principles, we not only strengthen our virtues, but also positively contribute to a social environment where relationships are based on mutual trust, respect, and sincerity. Demanding blind loyalty, from the Stoic perspective, can be seen as problematic and contrary to the principles of Stoic philosophy, which emphasize reason, virtue, and authenticity in human relationships. The Stoics, such as Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, taught the importance of wisdom and virtue as guides for an ethical life. In the context of loyalty, Stoic philosophy invites us to reflect on the nature of this virtue. While genuine loyalty based on ethical principles is valued, demanding blind loyalty can lead to unreflective submission and a lack of moral autonomy. From a Stoic perspective, true loyalty is distinguished by not arising from fear, coercion, or manipulation, but from a conscious and deliberate choice founded on shared values and a mutual commitment rooted in virtue. This form of loyalty involves establishing and maintaining relationships based on mutual trust, genuine respect, and reciprocity, where actions and decisions are guided by reason and a deep understanding of each other's needs and aspirations. The Stoics, such as Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, taught that authentic loyalty arises from a sincere emotional and ethical connection where both parties voluntarily commit to supporting each other in the pursuit of the common good and personal fulfillment. This contrasts sharply with the demand for blind loyalty, which can curtail individual freedom and the capacity for critical thinking about decisions and actions that affect our lives and those of others. In the Stoic framework, loyalty becomes an expression of moral virtue and personal integrity. It involves acting with honesty and responsibility towards others, respecting their rights and needs, while promoting values such as justice and equity in all interactions. This conception of loyalty not only strengthens interpersonal relationships, but also contributes to building communities based on mutual trust and reciprocal support. Demanding blind loyalty, however, can undermine these principles by promoting emotional dependence and uncritical obedience that does not encourage personal growth or the development of virtue. The Stoics promote moral autonomy and the ability to think for oneself, advocating for relationships based on trust and inner freedom. Furthermore, Stoicism not only teaches us to face adversity with strength and serenity, but also guides us in cultivating a resilient mindset in the face of various external demands and social pressures we encounter in daily life. This ancient philosophy invites us to develop the ability to remain steadfast in the face of challenges, leveraging our internal virtues to overcome obstacles and grow personally in the process. A crucial part of this Stoic strength lies in the ability to resist the temptation to impose our will on others unjustly or arbitrarily. Instead, we are encouraged to exercise our will with wisdom and understanding, always recognizing the dignity and individual freedom of each person. This approach not only promotes mutual respect and harmonious coexistence, but also strengthens our interpersonal relationships by fostering an environment of collaboration and mutual support. In Stoic practice, facing adversity is not merely about enduring difficulties, but also about learning and growing through them. It teaches us to find meaning and purpose in the challenges we face, allowing us to develop a greater understanding of ourselves and the world around us. This resilient attitude not only improves our ability to manage stress and uncertainty, but also strengthens our capacity to make informed and ethically sound decisions in any circumstance. Additionally, Stoic philosophy provides us with practical tools to maintain calm and composure in difficult situations, promoting effective management of our emotions and thoughts. This helps us avoid impulsive or reactive responses that could harm our relationships or compromise our ethical principles. Instead, it enables us to act with clarity and discernment, based on principles of justice and equity, to resolve conflicts and problems constructively. In summary, from the Stoic perspective, authentic loyalty is founded on reason, virtue, and a conscious choice that reflects a genuine ethical commitment. This form of loyalty does not arise from external imposition or fear, but from a sincere emotional and ethical connection with the principles that guide our actions and decisions. It involves a mutual commitment based on shared values such as honesty, integrity, and respect for individual autonomy. In contrast, demanding blind loyalty contradicts these Stoic foundations by reducing personal autonomy and the capacity for ethical discernment. This practice can lead to unbalanced relationships, where one party exercises dominance over the other, undermining moral integrity and individual dignity. Instead of fostering an authentic and respectful connection, blind loyalty can generate resentment, distrust, and conflict, as it leaves no room for inner freedom and authenticity in human interactions. In conclusion, adopting a Stoic perspective on loyalty involves not only respecting the autonomy and moral integrity of each individual, but also cultivating relationships based on mutual trust and genuine respect. By doing so, we not only strengthen our virtues and ethical principles, but also positively contribute to a more ethical, compassionate, and equitable social environment for all. Now, if any part of this message has been helpful to you, leave us your like and comment, helping the algorithm recommend it to someone who needs it at this time. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new videos. And if you look through the videos we've already uploaded, you're sure to find something to take with you. Have a good day. See you next time.